Have you ever stopped to think that maybe, just maybe, the powerful teachings of Neville Goddard, the 20th century mystic who changed so many lives, weren't entirely new?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it?
Yeah, what if they actually have these incredibly deep ancient roots, like going back thousands of years, right into the heart of ancient Egypt?
It might sound a bit out there at first, but when you really look closely, the connections, the echoes, they become surprisingly clear.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're exploring this really quite astonishing alignment between Neville Goddard's teachings, especially the stuff that came through his teacher, Abdullah, and the ancient secrets of the Egyptian mystery schools.
Mm-hmm.
We've gathered some excerpts, some key ideas that really start to peel back the layers on this connection.
It's quite a journey.
Our mission really is to see how that whole energy of Egypt, with the sacred initiations, the focus on divine imagination, that metaphysical mastery, how it subtly, but really unmistakably, seems to shine through Abdullah's own approach, even though he was teaching mystical Judaism and Kabbalah.
It's like this hidden lineage weaving through different traditions across millennia. It's genuinely fascinating how these powerful threads connect.
And for you, listening, think of this as a kind of shortcut, a way to grasp a really potent spiritual lineage. Maybe have a few of those aha moments about just how timeless the principles of creation really are.
Yeah, it gets you thinking.
So let's start with Abdullah. Neville always pointed to him as his main teacher. He described him pretty simply, actually a black Ethiopian rabbi. Clearly, Abdullah was just pivotal for Neville.
Absolutely central.
Okay, so here's the idea that might, raise an eyebrow initially. While Abdullah was definitely teaching mystical Judaism, Kabbalah, his methods, the way he taught, they seem to resonate so deeply with those ancient Egyptian mystery schools.
And what really adds weight to this, I think, is the context. You've got the geographical closeness, Ethiopia and Egypt, and spiritually, too.
Right.
Historically, Ethiopia has been this incredible place for preserving ancient esoteric practices, things like pre-Talmudic rituals within Ethiopian Judaism itself.
Why not? Interesting.
So the idea that these ancient Egyptian streams of wisdom might have, flowed down through Abdullah's lineage, it stops being just a wild theory. It actually becomes quite plausible, maybe even probable, when you look at the history and culture.
It definitely makes you look again at where some of this modern mystical thought actually comes from. Okay, let's unpack one of Neville's really big concepts, living in the end.
Crucial one.
It's not just thinking positively, is it? It's about actually inhabiting the feeling of your wish fulfilled, like truly experiencing it now as if it's already real before you see it on the outside.
And that idea, living from the end, well, it has incredibly deep roots. If you look at the Egyptian mystery schools, especially in places like Luxor, Dendera, Edfu, their main goal wasn't just passing on information.
Right.
No, their core focus was actually on transforming identity. The initiates weren't just, learning about the gods, they were actively practicing becoming them.
Wow.
Well, they used things like Heika, that's magical speech, intense visualization, sacred dramas, really deep embodiment exercises. The whole point was to literally become Osiris or Horus or another deity. And this wasn't like putting on a play.
Right.
It was seen as an ontological truth, a fundamental shift in their very being. That was the ancient way of living from the end.
So, okay, that's not just a slight resemblance then. That sounds like a direct, profound parallel to what Neville called his law.
Yeah.
Imagination is God, and the world just rearranges itself based on your inner state.
Exactly. The inner transformation comes first, then the outer world reflects it back to you.
It's the same pattern.
Absolutely. And the Egyptians, they even had this elegant framework for it. They talked about the Ka, that's your sort of energetic double, your vital life force.
Okay.
Then the Ba, which was the individuated soul, often shown as a bird, that could travel beyond the body. And finally, the Ak. The Ak was the result, the shining, luminous being that emerged when the Ka and Ba merged through spiritual awakening. This was the goal, the transfigured, awakened person.
Okay, wait. If you map that onto Neville,
Yeah.
it's almost uncanny.
Yeah.
Imagination is the Ka, right? The potential.
Yes.
The feeling of the wish fulfilled is the Ba, the soul embodying it. And the manifested reality is the Ak, the awakened, realized state. I mean, what does it mean that this exact blueprint shows up across thousands of years in apparently different traditions?
It strongly suggests a universal principle, doesn't it? Some timeless truth about consciousness and how creation works, something that just transcends culture and time. It's not new, it's just rediscovered.
Rediscovered, yeah. Okay, another big one from Neville He said it all the time, almost like a mantra. Everything is mental.
Cornerstone of his teaching, absolutely. The mind is paramount.
So where does that come from, if we trace it back?
Well, you can trace it pretty directly back to Thoth, the ibis-headed scribe god in ancient Egypt.
Right, Thoth.
And to the Emerald Tablets. These are seen as the foundational texts of Hermetic philosophy, often attributed to Thoth, or Hermes Trismegistus, as he was known later.
Okay.
And if you look at the Kabbalion, which is a later text, but it synthesizes that whole Hermetic lineage, the very first principle lays it out clear as day. The all is mind, the universe is mental.
Wow. Okay, put that next to Neville saying, all things exist in the human imagination, and everything you behold is a shadow cast by your assumptions.
The echo is undeniable. It's almost the same statement.
It really is.
Yeah, the Hermetic teachings were very clear. The outer world mirrors your inner thoughts. Vibrational frequency dictates manifestation. And, crucially, thought came before matter. The universe itself began in mind, in consciousness.
And Neville's teachings just line up perfectly, don't they? The world is yourself pushed out. Assumption plus feeling equals manifestation. Your inner conversations are the script the universe has to follow.
It's the same core understanding.
It almost makes you think Abdullah, Neville's teacher. He wasn't just teaching this Egyptian Hermetic stuff. He was living it, embodying it, maybe without even needing to label it that way.
That's a really powerful way to see it. He was the principle in action. He embodied that truth.
And it's not just the big ideas, the abstract principles either. It's kind of amazing how even the specific symbols from ancient Egypt seem to reappear, or at least resonate strongly, in Neville's work. Almost like a visual language popping up again.
Yeah, the symbolism is striking too.
Like take the uraeus, that cobra on the pharaoh's crown. What's the connection you see there with Neville?
Well, the uraeus in Egypt was just incredibly powerful. Royalty, divine authority, yes, but also the awakening of inner fire, the serpent power. For Neville, that maps almost perfectly onto Kundalini, or what he called inner power.
Ah, okay.
That rising of spiritual energy, often linked to the pineal gland, the I am center he spoke about. It's about that inner awakening, that self-sovereignty that doesn't come from outside, but from within.
So it's not just a hat decoration, it's an internal process linking to that core I am awareness.
That's cool.
Yeah, that reframes it completely. What about the Ankh? Everyone knows that one, the loop-topped cross, symbol of life.
The Ankh connects really beautifully to Neville's idea of imagination as eternal life.
How so?
The Ankh fundamentally signified endless existence, life force, consciousness that doesn't die. And Neville taught consistently consciousness never ceases. It just shifts form, changes states, eternally creating through imagination. The Ankh is almost a perfect glyph for that concept.
Okay, I see that. And then there's the scarab beetle. The Egyptians saw it as this powerful symbol of rebirth, transformation, the sun rising again. How does that connect?
This scarab is, I think, a perfect match for Neville's practice of revision.
Ah, revision. Right.
Yeah, the beetle rolling its ball of dung was seen like the sun being reborn each day, constant renewal, transformation. Neville's revision technique asks you to do essentially the same thing internally. Go back into imagination, reshape a past event, change its meaning and impact now. It's a symbolic rebirth, transforming what was into something new through imagination.
Literally rolling away the old and bringing in the new. Okay.
Yeah.
And one more, those huge temple columns like Boaz and Jachin standing at the entrances, symbolizing duality, balance.
Right. Those columns representing polarity, opposition, they really speak to Neville's idea of the bridge of incidence.
Explain that a bit more.
Well, the idea is that the tension between two states, your current reality and your desired one, that polarity isn't a problem. It's actually the engine of creation.
Yeah.
It leads to synthesis, to the new reality manifesting. That unseen path, the bridge of events that unfolds between your assumption and its fulfillment, is just part of how creation works in a dualistic world. The columns represent that gateway you pass through.
The necessary path between the two states. Wow.
And if you zoom out again, look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
The whole process of ancient Egyptian initiation, it was basically a highly sophisticated system of subconscious reprogramming.
Reprogramming. How?
Well, initiates went through these very distinct stages. First, purification, like a deep cleanse of the senses, letting go of old attachments. Then death rituals, not literal death, of course, but a symbolic descent into the underworld, facing the shadow, a kind of ego death.
Okay.
And finally, rebirth into light, a profound experience of union with the divine self emerging transformed.
Okay, that sounds exactly like Neville when he talks about having to die to your old state to be able to live from the new one.
Precisely.
He actually said, didn't he, something like, You must be willing to die to who you are, to become who you desire to be. It's that total shedding of the old identity.
It's the very same principle. And get this. Each initiation chamber in those Egyptian temples, they were meticulously designed. Each one symbolized a specific layer of the subconscious, guiding the initiate deeper and deeper into their own psyche.
Like levels in a video game, but for consciousness?
Kind of. And even the sarcophagus in the Great Pyramid is so often mistaken for just a tomb. Many researchers now believe it was actually an altar of transformation.
An altar.
Yeah. And there's some really fascinating work on the sound resonance inside the king's chamber. The specific frequencies might have actually altered brainwaves, potentially inducing states very similar to Neville's SATs, that state akin to sleep he recommended for deep imaginative work.
No way. So the environment itself was engineered for transformation.
This seems very likely. It was all designed to help facilitate that profound internal shift, that death and rebirth.
Which brings us right back around to Abdullah, doesn't it? Neville described him as, strict, brilliant, but someone who taught through stories, through parables, not like step-by-step instructions.
Mm-hmm. Which is very interesting in itself.
And that sounds so much like how initiates were supposedly taught in the ancient mystery schools, through symbol, through myth, through personal experience and gnosis, not just lectures.
Exactly. It wasn't just intellectual learning. And when you look at Abdullah's methods, as Neville described them, they seem to embody all these ancient threads we've been talking about.
Right.
You've got the Hermetic law, the core understanding that all is mind. You have the Egyptian identity assumption, the need to become the state, embody the result. And you even see the Kabbalistic structure, like the tree of life, perhaps used as a map of consciousness levels within.
It all seems to converge in him.
It really does. And considering, again, Ethiopia's deep ties to Egypt and how Ethiopian Judaism preserved so many ancient pre-Talmudic esoteric practices, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Wonder what?
Could Abdullah have been perhaps one of the last living mystery school teachers? Someone actually carrying that unbroken ancient lineage forward into the 20th century?
Wow. That's a profound thought. The implication is huge, that his legacy, passed down through Neville, wasn't some new invention after all.
No.
It was more like a powerful resurgence, a reawakening of something incredibly ancient, incredibly fundamental about who we are and what we can do. That golden thread just continued.
Exactly. From those ancient Egyptian temples right up to Neville's lectures in, 20th century New York or LA. That golden thread of thought, the scribe of divine imagination, it seems it was never truly broken.
And the core message from those mystery schools seems to be the same one Neville hammered home.
Mm-hmm.
You are the creator, just maybe in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
The gods, the powers. They aren't just statues out there. They are states of consciousness within you. And that if you want to see your world change, you have to first become anew internally.
That's the key, isn't it? The becoming.
So just as Thoth supposedly wrote reality into being with his reed pen, you, listening right now, you're rewriting your reality with every single thought you entertain, every state you choose to inhabit. It's a really powerful idea to sit with.
Definitely something to mull over for your own life. What does that really mean for your potential, your capacity to create?
Yeah. As Neville Goddard himself put it so perfectly, and maybe it's the best way to leave this, change your conception of yourself and you will automatically change the world in which you live.